Welcome everyone to another Beyond Bitcoin or BitShares Open Agenda Hangout on the Beyond Bitcoin Network. Today is Saturday, June 30th, 2018, and this is Open Agenda Hangout number 77. Obviously, it's not. This number does not necessarily represent all of the Hangouts we've had because we have had probably over 350 of them over the course of the past 5 years, but we have been slowly moving in the direction of trying to change crypto journalism and hangouts and all those things to something where rather than people paying to play and paying to receive attention, they are actually able to do so in an open forum where they can RSVP as adults, provided that they follow the template that we offer, and obviously remain within reasonable bounds whenever discussing things. So obviously no trolling and things like that. But we always have a good group of people who seems to want to join up every week and represent BitShares. Obviously there are a lot of people who you will see frequently coming in to provide updates. But you'll also see that there are people who can join up at any time on in the ecosystem, in the crypto ecosystem. And there are open communities that discuss these things where you don't have to pay to play. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and get into that BitShares State of the Network report, and then I'll go into the agenda and I will explain that agenda. The Graphene Blockchain Application Center has started uploading Graphene videos to YouTube. Current videos are from the Graphene DevCon in Shanghai earlier this year. Next up is this weekend, RuDEX, based on BitShares, finished testing their EOS gateway and opened it for deposits and withdrawals, 24th June of 2018. For more information on using it, please read their announcement. They are also requesting your votes for their EOS BP candidate, aka blockchain, if you like what they are doing. After this is Scorm has introduced a worker proposal in which they propose to work on the BitShares UX, UI, which is user experience and user interface, in a phased approach, and that would go research, design, and virtual design. Up after that is Atonio, Automated Nexus of Intelligent Operations, in parentheses, has announced integration of the 3 decentralized exchanges to its platform, CryptoBridge, GDEX, and EasyDEX, and continues to expand the decentralized exchange offerings available on its mobile platform following the initial integration of BitShares. Great news. After that, EasyDEX has released their transparency report and also announced a share drop to EasyDEX.pb token holders. The exchange has given the expectation that it will continue to share drop on PB token holders. 50% of funds received from the market fees and of the operation of gateway. Of course, that is great news as well. This is the final one. CryptoBridge has released a public service announcement tweet after seeing an increase in scam activities relating to an unofficial GitHub page pretending to be CryptoBridge. CryptoBridge has advised if users want to update their client, they should go to the official website CryptoBridge or crypto-bridge.org. So you guys can all check out the @SteamPower account to find further BitShares State of the Network report information. These are only an excerpt that we have kind of grabbed every week and given out to everybody to kind of keep them up to date, give them some of the most important things, a quick rundown of some of the most important things. But the list, the BitShares State of the Network report every week does have a lot more information. So feel free to go to @SteamPower, @steemit.com, @EOSTalk.io, and check out what they post there for the full document. Now, with that said, we do have an established order for today, and let's go ahead and get into that today. It's going to start off with Fox from the BitShares core team, and then we're going to move on to Xanox and RuDEX, who's going to be providing some information on their gateways and maybe a couple other things that they think are important to discuss. We are going to follow that up by Chris4210, and he's going to be talking about Payger. And then Talkinator is going to finish off this Hangout and bring us into the after party with the UX UI design worker proposal on Bitshares and a discussion thereof. So let's go ahead and get started with Fox today. And I want to say thank you, Fox, for joining up and providing this transparency in this place where anybody can come and ask you guys questions every week. And I'll let you go ahead and start, and I'll step back.
Thanks, Fuzzy. It's always good to be here. Yes, I am Ryan R. Fox. I am the coordinator for the Bitshares core team, and it is a pleasure to be with this group as many weeks as I can be here. Was gone last week, spending some time with the family, so it's good to be back here with you guys this week, and I want to give you some updates on what the core team has been working on, what our progress is, what our plans are going forward. So to start out, I want to make sure that everybody can keep up to date on our progress plans and priorities at our series of project boards, and that's on our GitHub site. So github.com/bitshares/bitshares-core/projects. That's where you'll see our project boards. Encourage you to start there at the project backlog, and then you can then see from there kind of where we're working into our future releases and our protocol enhancements. And there's also a board for community claims where you as a community member can come in, take a look at unassigned issues and work on them and be compensated for those. Encourage everybody to participate in that. And also want you to make sure that you stay informed about our core worker team proposal. That can be found at bitshares.foundation/worker. And there, I'm actually going to spend some more time on that next week, because currently we're in the 26th week of this year, which means we're halfway through the year. So I wanted to give everybody an update on what the core team has done, what our budget looks like going forward, and then our priorities for the second half of 2018. So stay tuned for that, hopefully next week, if not then the following week. One, of course, big announcement is that we have the protocol upgrade happening on 19 July at 1400 UTC. So this is a mandatory upgrade for all validation nodes to have their software upgraded by 19th July at 1400 UTC. That's when the new code will be triggered, and we will be using that code base there. So go ahead and head to the GitHub site. So github.com/bitshares/bitshares-core/releases, and there you will be directed to the latest release. You can get that installed on your validation node. Sorry, guys. It's all right. So the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is BitFest. So the core team is proud to be participating in BitFest this year in Amsterdam on the 21st through the 23rd of September. We invite everybody to come and see us there. We've got a few speakers from the team coming. So we've got Alfredo Garcia, Peter Conrad, John Jones, and then I will also be hosting a panel discussion during that conference. So come and meet us. We're there to present about what we're working on. We want to meet with you guys and take feedback and make sure that we are delivering the protocol enhancements that you guys are desiring. So look forward to seeing you in Amsterdam at BitFest, and you can get there by going to http://bitfest.in. All right, so when I made this worker proposal at the beginning of 2018, I had put together a slide that talked about what I felt the 2018 initiatives should include. And one of those on there in the high value, high effort ones was interchain communication. And, really what that was all about was, how are we going to be able to talk to other blockchains, other ledgers. So I think that I wanted to spend some time today talking to you about kind of what we feel like we want to do here in the second half of the year specific to that initiative. Just a moment. All right, so you know what this is all about is to have. I guess I look at this as kind of like three different ways that we could communicate with another blockchain. I mean, a good way to do that would just be to exchange messages with another blockchain that we are connected to. You know, just sending a simple message to that other one. You know, a better way would be to have the ability to actually exchange value with another connected chain, say transferring tokens between these two chains. I think in like the best way, kind of the end goal that we want to get to is to have the ability to exchange value with multiple chains, even those that we are not directly connected to. And so the core team has been doing quite a bit of research and is drafting some improvement proposals on a couple of different related topics to this. One is escrow services, and the other one is something called the interledger protocol. And so I want to dive into those in just a little bit more detail. So, you know, first of all, you know, why is the core team putting research and effort into interchain communication? Well, we want to have the ability to exchange value with other chains and, more broadly, other payment networks. And we want to make it easy to onboard new users into the Bitshares platform using whatever value they hold, be it fiat or Bitcoin or EOS or any other value that they hold. We want to allow them to easily transfer that into the Bitshares platform. And we also want to make it so that existing BTS token holders who have a desire to make an easier exchange outbound, so that they can use a method that minimizes trust and decentralizes any intermediaries on the way out. And so one of the technologies that we have looked at is something called the interledger protocol. And you can read more about this in detail at their website. It's interledger.org. All right. So I'm sorry, guys. It's having a little trouble here. Just bear with me.
Your computer, you said?
Yeah, I got my reading material here about what I want to say, and it keeps on jumping away from me. So just a second. I'm sorry.
You know, this is a great opportunity to just say, you know, everybody, we don't edit any of this stuff, so everything that you see that happens is live. Other people are welcome to edit it and make it into a final cut if they think that it's better for their own viewership or whatever. Obviously, make sure that you don't edit out context when possible. But this type of stuff does happen despite the fact that we're all very interested in using tech. Tech does not always have interest in working with us.
Isn't that the way it always goes, right? You know, you try to do those live demos, and it always happens that the internet connection doesn't work when you want to do those. So, all right, here we are. So, again, so speaking about the interledger protocol specifically, and kind of why we think that that this is valuable. So number one, it's a protocol. It is a framework to help us get there to that kind of best solution, being able to talk not only to chains that we're directly connected to, but also to other chains that we don't have a direct connection to, but are in fact connected through this interledger protocol. So what we've been doing on the core team is having a bunch of discussions about, you know, what is it, how does it work, how could it possibly help us, and we've got a couple of BSIPs that will come out this week, and then we are going to make those available so that we can gather community comments and make sure that we are actually developing something that makes sense for what this community wants to do. So a little bit about interledger protocol, and I'll abbreviate that as ILP going forward. So ILP was originally developed by Ripple. It's now an independent open source project, and they're working in conjunction with the W3C on standardizing this. So it's a mature project, and it has support at a very broad level. ILP is comprised of some core cryptographic primitives that are found in other, you know, many well-known projects such as Bitcoin and the Lightning Network, and these primitives, or these building blocks, they include pre-shared key exchange, something called hashed time lock contracts, and if you'll hear me talking, I'll abbreviate that as HTLC, and also two-part commits. So this idea of making a prepare packet and then a redeem packet at the end, so a two-part commit there. So the three big primitives that are wrapped inside of this protocol, again, are these pre-shared keys, hash time lock contracts, and then two-part commits. So the result is actually a protocol which can be implemented by any ledger who has the ability to support these types of primitives. And this could actually include banks, payment providers such as PayPal, and any payment provider, and of course blockchains are the ones that seem to be adopting it first. But we certainly expect that with the work that the W3C is doing on the standard, that we would see other payment providers coming to the ILP protocol and making use of it as well. So I think it's advantageous that Bitshares would be here in these early formula days to try to make a connection into it. So what is it that we would need to do in order to operate with the interledger protocol? Well, the details are definitely still to be determined, and again, look for those draft BSIPs this upcoming week, and we'll see, and you can then see where we're going with this. But broadly speaking, we really need a mechanism to plug into the ILP framework, and then we need a mechanism for a sender to safely time lock some fund our chain, and then have the ability for redemption by the recipient upon presentation of a secret. All right, so we have to implement those three primitives that I talked about before. Now, EOS is definitely the chain that we are targeting, trying to integrate with first. It's in our DNA, right? We share a lot in common with EOS, and I think that is the chain that makes the most sense for us to try to talk to first. So I envision us going forward in the next development cycles, first trying to build just a prototype. How can we send simple message back and forth, and then moving towards an MVP product where we could actually get some value being swapped back and forth between them, and then hopefully we'll get a release candidate out for out for prime time, where we would actually be fully implementing the ILP protocol, and then would have the ability to talk to any chains that are implementing the ILP as well. I'll have you know that there are that ILP already has a connector to Ripple. Of course, they built the reference implementation, so that already exists. There's a team working on one going to the Lightning Network. There's another one working on the Radian Network, which is the Lightning Network for Ethereum. So there are other chains that are already connected in here, and hopefully our work here would allow Bitshares for sure to be in there, and then hopefully also to work with EOS and get a connection to them as well. The nice thing is that the way that the interledger protocol works is that we wouldn't necessarily have to have a direct connection between, say, Bitshares and Bitcoin, but if somebody had a connector in between, say, like say to EOS, then we could go Bitshares to EOS, and then it could go EOS to Bitcoin, and we could actually move the value across these multiple connectors. So I just introduced a new word there, connectors, and I guess quickly I'll just try to explain the way that the interledger protocol works. If you've got Alice on the left hand side of the picture, and you got Bob on the right hand side, and Alice has her value, we'll just use Bitshares. So she's got her BTS tokens on the left-hand side, and that's all that she has. And Bob only has EOS tokens on the right-hand side, and that's all that he wants to accept. Do together, right? So what they do is they use the ILP protocol at first to make a handshake and to establish secret communication channel ahead of time so that Alice can send the hash of a secret that she has. And so she'll get that sent over to Bob, and now Bob is going to hold on to that hash secret for a while, and he's going to look for a prepare packet from Alice. So what Alice is going to do on the left-hand side, she's going to take her BTS tokens and she's going to wrap them inside of a special transfer operation that will be time-locked. And it will say, these tokens go to an account for the connector. I'm going to establish a relationship with this connector. Connector, here are the tokens, and they are destined for Bob on the EOS chain. This is his address. All right, and also here is here is the secret to unlock it. Well, this is the secret to unlock it, but it's wrapped up and cryptographically signed. So the connector takes that and forwards it on, finds Bob on the EOS chain, and says, "Hey, Bob, I've got some tokens that I put inside of a transfer operation from connector to you, Bob, and it is wrapped in the same cryptographic message that Alice sent me before. And if you have a key to unlock it, then these EOS tokens will instantly be sent to you. You will have them on the EOS chain." Of course, Bob has that because Alice gave it to him at the beginning, and Bob knows that it works. So he takes that that pre-shared hash and he applies it on the EOS chain. And when he does so, Bob now has those EOS tokens in his EOS account, and the connector now sees what the secret is, and now the connector can use that secret in order to use that on the BTS chain in order to redeem the tokens in that transaction that Alice had initially set up, prepared to him. So now he can redeem that. So in fact, if you look at it, the value transfer is being prepared from left to right, from Alice to Bob is being prepared, and then the redeem is happening from right to left, where Bob is redeeming from the connector, and then the connector is redeeming from Alice. But all of these funds, or these BTS tokens on the left-hand side and the EOS tokens on the right-hand side, have been locked up ahead of time and cryptographically signed to go towards the right. If nobody takes any action, these transactions are time locked, and so if the connector is unable to locate Bob, or Bob fails to redeem the tokens, these tokens, the BTS tokens that Alice had initially locked up towards the connector, they would time out and they would go back to Alice, and she would not be out anything. So that's quickly the way that the ILP protocol works. It covers all of those different pieces there, and hopefully I did it some justice. And that is the research that we're doing, and we hope to now get that VSIP out there for you guys to read, review, understand more, and we hope to get something out there, well, as soon as possible. I'd love to, my goal is really to be able to show something at BitFest, so let's hope we can do it in the testnet by then. So that's all that I've got for this week, and I'll stick around in the after party and take some questions there. So thanks very much, Fuzzy, for the time. Everybody, of course, you can get a hold of me. I'm Fox on BitShares, and you can get me on email. I'm Fox at bitshares.boston. Thanks much.
And thank you very much for joining up and providing this information. And of course, everybody, just to let you all know, they do have a place where you can go. It is www.bitshares.foundation/worker/budget 2018 -03-bitshares-core. If you want to go and look at kind of where all of the updates and all the different things that they're doing are happening, they will provide links. Actually, you can go to the specific RSVP post that Fox has made every week that he joins up. He'll actually provide the link directly there if you're afraid that you might be going somewhere wrong and you'd like to get it directly from him. So please make sure to, of course, check out Box's posts every time that he joins up, and all the other RSVP posts, and reward them while you're there checking out the links that they provide as you prepare for hearing updates from them. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to Xanox, who is going to be providing some updates from the EOS gateway that they're launched on RuDEX. Xanox, are you available to step up, man?
Yeah. Hi, I'd like to start by saying that I really hope to see you all in September in Amsterdam, because I really hope to go there, and I'm currently talking about participating. But I also want to start the talk by saying that we used to have monthly updates for what we are doing, but if you were paying attention, that means that you saw that in the last 3 months there was no update. The reason for that was that when I was in Shanghai in May, it was a really interesting experience, but it was really hard to write about without mentioning EOS. And in 2 days of the conference, the first day was about the graphene chains, Bitshares, stuff like that, and the second day was about EOS. And we kind of think like we are doing a Bitshares update, and we shouldn't, be talking about EOS because that's a separate thing. But now that we have a working EOS gateway, and we are really glad that we were the first ones on Bitshares to have an active EOS gateway. And I think we were the fourth exchange to open EOS deposits and withdrawals overall. And we beat big guys like Binance to that. And also, as there's another really interesting thing, and that is that people have started forking our code, and this is something that we were really looking forward to, because since launch of RuDEX, we were like, we want everyone who wants to have their own gateway and stuff like that. And so that's it. And those guys are called XBTS. Hold on. Like this. Another thing is that this is something that should probably go with Taconator when he talks about the worker proposal from Scorum team. As you know, we partnered with Graphene Lab, which was started by one of us as a commercial blockchain development company. And we, after seeing the Scorum worker proposal, they approached Lebedev Studio to see what the quote from a professional studio would be. And hold on a second. I'll link you up to the document they sent. Hold on. Okay, here it is. This is the quote from the Lebedev design studio. They are one of the biggest. Well, they are the biggest design studio in Russia, and there are some links there. They did more than 200 projects for banks and financial companies, other than all other stuff that they do. And another thing is that the Graphene Lab, they also talked with guys called, hold on a second, Russell.com, which are from Canada, I think, and they think about collaborating. Do you hear me? Everything's okay?
Yep, perfectly.
Okay. And they are thinking about collaborating and also doing a worker proposal. So the community has 3 different candidates to pick from, like, decentralization, and will be helping the Lebedev studio to submit a worker proposal, and they also are going to submit a worker proposal of their own. Well, that's probably all the news I can talk, and maybe we can discuss it more during the after party as well.
Certainly. I believe that adding these gateways is something that a lot of people don't realize, that when we add the different coins, we're actually helping ourselves. So
that's true. That's true. Most people always ask where's the liquidity, and we always tell them, well, if you don't put your orders on the order book, there's not going to be any liquidity. We are doing our best to provide some, but we would appreciate any help with that. So if you have extra coins and want to try, arbitraging them between different pairs, different gateways, that's the best way to provide the liquidity and improve the experience of everyone on Bitshares, and maybe make some money. So please do that.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah, sure.
When can we expect the competing front end worker proposals to be out?
If you check the document, the prices quoted there they are valid till 27th of July, so you can expect the worker proposal to happen before that, much earlier, because it usually takes at least a couple of weeks or more for a worker proposal to go through. And as for the third proposal, I don't know. Denis, the guy from Graphene Lab, was supposed to be here, but he thought that the Hangout is on Sunday, and currently I think he's driving a car, so he sent me a couple of links, and this PDF that he got from Lebedev Studio, and I think we could try to get them up during the next week, maybe. And then we could probably discuss it on the next Hangout. I'll tell them that the community is looking for those proposals, and maybe this will also give time for this quorum team to amend their proposal to be more grounded, because both companies that we talked with quoted like 3 times less than what the quorum team did.
Great. Well, I think that this is important that we do, and I'm glad to see that, generally the quotes between multiple parties doesn't happen in crypto. So that's cool to see that you guys are kind of
we were actually, thinking like, oh, this is awesome, like a proposal, but the prices, they're a little high, or is it us, or are they, too high? But in crypto, people are like a little not grounded in reality, because the amount of money everyone talks about all the time is like huge, and maybe there. So first we approached ones, and then I think Graphene Lab were discussing something with Russell for another project, and they were like, yeah, we can probably join forces and put our own worker proposal, and so we'll have to choose not from two of them, but from three. That's even better, I think.
Yeah, I think that would be cool to see eventually. Maybe this is an idea for anybody else out there who's interested in it, but a place where people could actually post those proposals and you can literally like look at them side by side and know that they're under the same topic, But yeah, this is something that I really am glad to see that you guys did. I know it's not always like politically correct, even potentially like to do this stuff. But this is how we need to do this stuff moving forward. I think the more options.
Actually, it started as as a curiosity. Like we think those numbers a little off. Who can we talk with? And talking with Lebedev Studio was sort of a joke. Like we can talk to Lebedev Studio. Their quote probably is going to be higher, and then they gave us this quote, and it was like 3 times less, and we were like, oh.
Mm-hmm. So it kind of was like an eye-opening experience to you guys too.
Yeah. I mean, I talked a lot with Denise, and they've been busy developing different blockchain cores based on graphene, and they say like at some point, once we have more free time, we want to submit a worker proposal for some core development to cooperate with the Bitshares core team and stuff like that. So you can probably expect something from them later points in time.
Well, looking forward to seeing it. This is the point where I think that the more different firms are looking at these types of things that we need and putting up worker proposals and competing to receive those worker proposals, that's a great thing for us.
Well, I mean, a lot of core stuff that Fox talked about is really awesome, and this moves the chain forward by a lot. Like I am personally really looking forward to seeing the escrow code, because I know that Steam has had escrow functionality for a while now, but I think their implementation was a little bare bones, and having an escrow is something that I talked since the first time I was here, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think that's another thing we've got to do too. But it's cool that they're going to be able to actually be talking with them as well, because I think this is where we're going to start seeing a lot more movement. And just to add in there, the ability to trade between chains without centralized authorities is a big deal too. So it'll be very interesting to see how all this stuff gets.
Yeah, and the thing is, this won't kill centralized gateways, but having choice is really important when you're talking about decentralization. I mean, the whole point is not having a single point of failure, and centralized gateway is probably easier to use for people. It can help you if you do something wrong, like say sending your coins without a memo or something. But if you really want independence, you need to have atomic swaps and be able to circumvent the the gateway if you would like to do that. The fees are probably going to be lower, or maybe fees are going to be higher. I don't know. It really depends on the implementation. But what we've done, and we always pushed to have like cross Graphene quality and 0% fees and stuff like that, because it really helps. And I mean, in our zeal to support Graphene-based projects, we actually made some bad calls, like I don't know, travel chain. Anyone? People are still asking us about if how are we involved with them, and like, aren't they a scam? But we are like, well, they're Russian-based project and the Graphene project and blah blah blah. And I mean, we have a witness node there, and right now it pays like $6 a month. So it doesn't really cover the server costs, but they're saying that they're working on this stuff, and that's it. But we are currently looking into our policy regarding gateways and how we delist a coin if, what are the criteria for that and stuff like that. So once we have that, we'll have a policy about listing coins, delisting coins, and stuff like that. We always provide free listing for Graphene-based chains, but there are going to be a protocol that says you can do this, this, and this to get your favorite blockchain listed. And we're also going to implement something that would allow the community to help us pick what they want to see in the coming month or coming couple of months, because we are going to start doing new chains every so often.
So would you say that we're getting to the point where you think that graphene-based chains and EOS-based chains are going to be starting to ramp up? Is that kind of what you're getting at?
No, I'm actually talking about listing different coins. I mean, for example, privacy-based chains are facing issues in centralized exchanges, and I feel that having DEX for those types of things is a good thing. And yeah, I also am talking about Graphene-based chains and EOS-based chains. I mean, the world is moving into the territory of more control and more regulation, and having places that can be resistant to that control and that regulation is important. I mean, if you disagree with some state, you can move out, but moving your funds around isn't exactly easy. And while there are uses that are, I don't know, not something that I would support, like human trafficking and stuff like that, and some crypto is used for that kind of stuff. If you are not doing anything that endangers any other humans, everyone should just, I'm sorry, fuck off and mind their own business.
You won't have any disagreement with me on there, and I think as we go into the regulation of these things, oftentimes we go into it thinking we're fixing things, but we actually end up giving the criminals a way to help legitimize themselves by becoming people wearing suits that are there to quote-unquote protect us. So we got to be very careful with that, and I think that that's a check and balance in the power, so I'm not against it. I think that we will see a lot of people trying to say that a lot of FUD, and you hear it now already, but when we start being able to do things like this, I think you're going to see a lot more quote-unquote terrorism paid for in, these anonymous cryptos. So it's going to be very interesting, but I agree with you. I guess is my point, is that I think it's something that we definitely need to be looking at and helping with, because even though that like there's going to be that 0.5% that's used for something that we disagree with, does that mean that we shut down the 99.5% of stuff that's valuable potentially for humanity?
I really hate the hazy definitions they have. I mean, like, if you say terrorism, you have to define it really, really clearly, because at some point you'd get to that, like, free thought is terrorism. I'm sorry, this is getting ridiculous. I mean, the amount of legislation that's really, vaguely hazy, amorphous, and that can be, and like this or that without a clear definition is mind-boggling.
Yeah, add into that the institutions that are generally supposed to be protecting with terrorism are generally the ones who are actually helping to foment it and create it. So it's very interesting, I think, for people who pay attention to all this stuff. So, but I'm glad to see that you're talking about it. You guys are thinking about it, because this, I think, is very much coming. And I think actually this is the next stage. We'll see probably a big pump in crypto, and then there will be regulations that come down and drop and all that stuff to try to help manipulate the market and also give them more control. That's what I see anyway.
Anyway, I think we digress. So that's probably it if you don't have any questions. And we should go on to Techonator, because, 49 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. Just to make sure that everybody knows, we leave it 60 to 90 minutes is totally fine now. The only reason I expanded them was because I feel like, we have people who like to join more and more consistently, who are generally coming in all the time, and I also want to leave some room open for discussion. Perhaps other people who want to join up in the future with new projects. And I think we're getting to the point where we're going to start seeing a lot more new projects.
Actually, I think we have Chris with Payger update.
Yes. But real quick before we do that, how do people contact you to talk to you guys about what you're doing in the RuDEX ecosystem?
Well, first of all, you can do that by messaging me on Discord, and you can see my handle right here on the right-hand side. We also have a RuDEX channel in this Discord thing on the left. If you scroll down, there's projects and there's RuDEX one. Yeah, and we also have a Telegram channel, which is called BitsharesDex _ru. Let me get you a link. You can also write us an email, I guess. There is contact information at rudex.org. There's also blockchain website, which is BLCHMD. Hold on, I'll have to. Fidgeting, fiddling with the browser. Hold on. Here's the oh yeah, awesome. Yeah, this is the official Telegram channel, official Telegram chat. The Graphene who is where we post all the translated articles and all the news pertaining to Graphene chains. Discord, the link, it links to our own Discord server, and we also have RuDEX.org and blockchain, the website. Hold on, but that's it. I think we can move on. I'll post more links in the chat.
Well, thank you very much, Xanox. And let's go ahead and move on to Chris4210, who's going to be discussing Payger and giving some updates on that front. And thank you very much for the RSVP, Chris, and for providing a place where people can ask you questions regarding Payger app.
Yeah, sure. So this time I think I was better on time with registration. So yeah, I would like to talk a little bit about Payger and where we are currently with the product development. And I think it's also time to give a better overview. What is actually Payger, and basically what is the background of this platform? Payger is a new cryptocurrency wallet, multi-currency wallet that is built on top of the Bitshares blockchain. So that means for the technical perspective is that we're using a Bitshares wallet, and you can transfer funds into that wallet. And we are using primarily the Bitshares blockchain now, working with different gateways so that you can also pay in Bitcoins, Ether, Litecoin, and so on. So currently what is working is that we are integrated the block trades bridge. So you can use all of the different assets to deposit funds into your Payger account. And we are also talking with a couple of other gateways for extra coins, because I think it's good when people have more access to different coins. Once you are in the Payger wallet, you can then send money to other Payger users. Right now, you cannot send money to another Bitshares account. We still have to go into the details if that is a good idea or not, because we have one thing from the merchant perspective that we are tackling, and that is the privacy issues. We talked with a lot of different merchants, and of course, you always wanted to know, are the transactions, are they public? Who can read my transactions? Who owns the data, etc., etc. So technically, of course, all the transactions are public because we're using the Bitshares blockchain. But what we developed is basically an IP or like an ID system on top, where when you register with your Payger ID, it's similar like to a Twitter handle. So that means you can register your own ID, but you can also change it. That means like you can call you at the beginning Home Shopping 24, but then you maybe want to add it, you want to say Home Shopping 24/7, then you can change your ID. And at the end, you're just going to use a random Bitshares account. So we create a name, a random name on the Bitshares platform. And in this way, you always have your own private Bitshares account, but you as a user, you don't really see the name of your account. For expert users, there is a way to figure out what is your account. And if you send basically from a different Bitshares account to your Payger account, of course, the funds show up. So we have also the topics of spam coins that are showing up in our interface. So we are adding now a feature to filter out these spam coins, because you can imagine if you're a regular store and suddenly there are some random coins showing up in your balance, that's not really interesting. That's quite confusing. So that's one of the things where we added a filter. So you can, as a user, you can define what kind of coins you want to see, et cetera, et cetera. Good topic, good question, Faf, here. Yes, Payger has a full KYC process. So when you're registering for Payger, you need to register with your name, with your passport, and etc. Because we are collecting this information for security and compliance reasons. And we are right now implementing automated process so that the onboarding is working faster. Another thing that is already working in the Payger wallet when you register is that you can trade on the Bitshares exchange. We developed a very simple interface where you just basically select the currencies you want to spend and you select the currency you would like to buy. And you will see a selected range of currencies and tokens that are available from the Bitshares platform, because different potential tokens that you could buy or you could use. But to keep it simple, we shortened that to have a defined list. And if you would like to add a specific coin, then just reach out to us so that we can add it to the list. That makes it very easy, basically, for people to buy and sell different tokens. What is special in this interface is that we don't show the order books, we don't show the charts, what you have in a regular wallet. So this is a very simple way how to convert one currency into another. Because with Payger, what our focus is, it is a payment platform. It is a very simple platform similar to PayPal, where you can store different cryptocurrencies, but you can also send them to other users, and you can exchange them, all based on Bitshares. What we are currently testing is we are working on the merchant features, so that we will have an API coming up, plus plugins for the WooCommerce platform. So that means soon you will be able to install the Payger plugin on your WooCommerce store, and then you will be able to accept Bitcoin, Ether, and all the different currencies as a mean of payments, and you will be able to manage that within your Payger account. Yeah, so I think that's a general overview over Payger. And we are making good progress with the development. It was a lot of, we spent a lot of time the last couple of months to build that, also with the designs. And coming back to the design proposal, I think I can add some words here as well. I like the approach to see that we have a new proposal for a better interface for Bitshares. I think that is good. As some already said, it's the new design should also include, of course, the current core team. So I think we need to find a solution how to do that. And especially the price for the redesign is too expensive. So for $340,000 for just the design, it's like 3 times the regular price. I think we already saw from the RuDEX team that you could get that for $120,000. That's similar to the experience I have. And we also have a special team for designing Payger right now, the version 2. And that is not that expensive. So it's quite interesting when you start talking with different design agencies, that if you want to have a very good state-of-the-art design from a good, well-known agency, it's not as expensive as you think. And I think a lot of different projects could actually purchase a really good design. So I think it's good that we see competition, that we have different teams now showing, providing quotes for the redesign for Bitshares. I think that's necessary. Probably different stages, right? So that we have like a version for regular users, and then we have a professional version for professional traders, etc. I think that's a good move forward to push Bitshares and to make it more attractive for users. I think that's a good thing. Coming back to Payger, if you have more questions, I will be available after the Hangout here for a couple of more questions, or you can also just ask me right now. You can also join us at Telegram, just it's Payger, and also just visit our website. There's one more thing. We are looking for alpha testers for Payger. So if you're interested to help us to improve the platform, you can register. You can reach out to me. We have in our Payger forum, we have a dedicated section for the alpha testers, where we gather your feedback and then think about, okay, how could we integrate that into the platform so that we can build the features that you like and that are necessary or required by you, so that we can grow the whole platform together. Thank you.
Well, I think this has been a long time coming there, that you guys have been working on this stuff. So I'm glad to see that you guys are making steps forward. Before I bring anything up other than that, does anybody else have any questions or comments that they'd like to bring up other than Fav? I know Fav asked about KYC. Questions regarding anything else from the community? Any questions for anybody before I go into mine? Okay,
Fuzzy,
so
I know you have always questions.
yeah, well, luckily that's one of the things that I do have. I don't know why. Not all of them are probably always the best, but I do have questions that I think are important for me to ask. And one of them is, how do people, is this something that people will buy into? Is this something that, like, because we got a lot of people who are listening in who might not always be really deep in the BitShares ecosystem, and they're just trying to get a weekly roundup of different things going on right now. So how, like, is there a way of them participating in this? Is it something that, in terms of the tokens, like, are there tokens for it? How does that work?
There are different ways how to participate with the Payger platform. One of the first things is that you join our Telegram channel for the discussions and also for the feedback. So if you have ideas how we can improve the platform, how we can improve the wallet, then we are very open to hear that. Our goal with Payger basically is to build a PayPal based on BitShares. So you have a payment platform, a very simple, straightforward interface that everybody's familiar with, and that works on top of BitShares. I think that's what we need. We had a couple of these kind of wallets in the past from different teams, but they never really got it off the ground. I think with Payger, we are one of the first now that have a really nice, simple interface, and I'm very excited to get more of your feedback. In terms of interaction, we're also going to be in Amsterdam. We're going to present Payger there, and I think by then we're also going to be ready with the WooCommerce platform. So we're going to have a couple of demos ready for the BitFest. And topics about the tokens. We are working on a token model. It's not yet fully defined. We are still checking that with the lawyers to see what is the best approach here, and to build a value system, a token economy that really adds value to the token. I think being in the space for so long with different token models, I got very critical about most utility tokens and how many different teams are using tokens. So for me, I'm challenging constantly the token economy that I would like to build for Payger, so that it makes sense. What I definitely don't like, and unfortunately 90% of all tokens are like that, is that you need to use the token to use the platform. So there's no other way to pay the fees for the platform. I think that's not a correct way, especially from a merchant perspective or from a business perspective. It adds a lot of complication, a lot of problems, and a lot of extra fees for the users when you want to use a platform, and you always the only way how to use a platform is to use the platform token. I think there's a lot of problems on that. So I try to build a better token economy where you have basically both. Yeah, you can pay part of the fees with the tokens, and on the other side, you can just pay with regular BitUSD, etc. But this is still with the lawyers right now, so it's like I will be releasing more information about that in the next coming months.
Cool. And if anybody wants to, they can go look at Payger.com /roadmap to see how far along they have been on everything. I'm glad to see so much progress on it and how you guys have this set up. The UI's beautiful. So anybody who's interested in checking out Payger.com or Payger.com, feel free. That's Payger.com. They have it. I open up and okay. So do you guys have any interest in other connectivity as far as other platforms, or is this going to leverage BitShares primarily, or rather only, and then everything has to go through BitShares? How does that work for people who might?
So currently everything is based on BitShares. So for us, since you're building a merchant point of sales infrastructure as well, all the inbound currencies, whatever basically people spend in the store, will be all converted to BitUSD or BitEuro or BitCNY. So our goal is to really use the main assets we have on BitShares because the platform is just the best for doing business. There are a couple of things I think that we can improve over the next couple of months. One of them is the fees. I think it's cool that Fox is working on chain interoperability and integrating it with Interledger. What I would really would like to see for BitShares would be 0 fees for transfers, that we can find a way how to reduce just this part of the fees. I mean, BitShares has a lot of different fees, and they're necessary to run the whole BitShares economy. But for the transfer from one account to another one, where we pay now $3, $2, I think it would be very interesting to have a solution or a team that is working on reducing that on a rate limited or similar platform or system. That would be really cool. I would love to see that.
So you think that that would make it make BitShares a lot more, how do I say this? A lot more tasty for these different businesses who are going to be working with this.
Well, I think it's one thing that adds another flavor to BitShares. I think we see so many new projects coming up for BitShares now, and which is very good. I mean, like, I love the DEX bot system. This is really cool because it adds a lot of new people and liquidity to the market, and that's good. And if you can reduce the fees, I think it will be better for competition. Because if you want to build a payment app based on top of BitShares, and then you have Steam and you have EOS in comparison, you're losing out because, we are very transparent in Payger with the fees. So for a transfer, there is no fees. However, we have the network fees. So we're showing that. So every user who is sending $10 from one account to another account, he still has to pay the $3. Which is a little bit upsetting because we have two options. Either we pay the fees ourselves, so this is a new cost that we have to cover the user for that. But now when you compare that with other systems like Venmo or WeChat, Alipay, or any kind of other modern banking system, a transfer is usually for free. So we at BitShares, we're already losing out because we charge a fee. It's not a lot, but I mean, it is something that is a barrier for usage, right? So I think here it can get better. But coming back to the question you had before, we at Payger, we are building primarily top on BitShares because we think it's the best blockchain and the best blockchain for doing business. Although we're also integrating other coins. We're looking here with CryptoBridge that when you want to deposit Bitcoin, right now you need to convert the Bitcoin into BTS or BitUSD. That's a block trades topic. But when we were going to integrate CryptoBridge, then you can really deposit basically Bitcoin, and you have a Bitcoin URA in your wallet. So that will be a new way how to store a couple of different coins in your wallet, and I think that's pretty cool as well. So in that way, we're going to support also other coins, but more through partners.
Yeah, and that was another thing that I wanted to bring up, but you already mentioned it a little bit. Which was the atomic cross-chain or the inter-blockchain communication, rather. So probably a better way of saying it because that encompasses all of the different potential ways of doing it. But real quick, what is the value proposition that you think is important as projects like yours?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Were breaking up. Can you repeat the question?
What kind of benefits do you see for inter-blockchain communication in BitShares for helping you guys with what your plans are?
Well, for us, the biggest challenge is really to get the value onto BitShares, right? The bridge topics. I think when you have basically Interledger connected, that maybe could help. it could also speed up the whole process. I think one of the things that we all struggle with, because when we come from the BitShares world, everything is fast. But if you go to a different blockchain, then you're back in the Stone Age, because it just takes minutes and hours until you get the value. So for doing payments, that's quite painful, because we always have to wait until the Bitcoin arrives, until the Ether arrives, etc. And then you have to wait the confirmation for value transactions. So you cannot basically say like, oh, I want to buy this really nice bag for 3,000 euros in Bitcoin, and then just immediately release the funds, and you get a double spend. And the person who's paying that is the payment service provider. That's we. Payger is paying that. And the thing is, like, if you have a modified wallet on the street and you're doing a double spend, or you're setting mining fees too low that the Bitcoins never arrive, that's a massive problem we have. So we are working on solutions, and a couple of different service providers are already solved this problem, especially BitPay. I think this new chain interoperability could help in that regard. Help to avoid fraud, to reduce the fraud with Bitcoin payments. Also, a big topic is that you have under and overpayments. So if you want to basically get paid, and then the user is not sending enough money or sending too much. As far as I understand it, it's the inter-chain interoperability is like an escrow, or like the Lightning Network. So you need to put money into an escrow, and then you can take the money out. So I think that would also add a better usability. But I'm not so deep into that topic yet, so I think Fox can describe that way better.
Sure. Yeah, and the reason I bring it up is mostly just because I think we're in a place where these Hangouts, a lot of people who join up to them aren't always brand new to this. Aren't always veterans to the scene. They haven't always been here for all this time listening to all of the Hangouts. So when people who are listening are doing so, it's nice to kind of give them, even the veterans maybe who might not understand, the ability to see how various projects coming at things from different perspectives might see benefits from something that seems like a general thing that's a benefit in general for everybody, but you don't necessarily see how those benefits actually hit the ground running for projects that are trying to go mainstream for us. So I feel like that kind of is something helpful for everybody who's listening. Okay, so with that said, we are at about 9:13 my time, so we've got about 15 minutes left. Is there anything that you'd like to finish up on with, Chris, before we move on to Talk Native for the final topic that he has posted for today?
No, I think that's all for this week. I'm looking forward for next week. I have a couple more updates that I would like to present next week. I'm just going to sign up and then share the news next week. I'm going to be excited about it.
Sounds great. And how do people reach out to you guys and contact you? I know, but probably the best way, just if you can give them one place.
Well, the best way is to go to our website, payger.com. You can also reach us out in the Telegram channel, but also on Facebook if you go to /PagerHQ, also on Twitter /PagerHQ. That's a way you can also reach out to me. I'm in most of the different channels available under Chris4210. You can also call me or send me an email. There's all kinds of ways how to reach out with me. And I'm looking forward to your feedback, to your input, and looking forward to talk to you guys.
Yep, and on Payger.com, you can actually see, if you scroll to the bottom, the various links that to the social media channels that Chris has described. So you can go to Payger.com, that is Payger.com again, and go ahead and click on those links, and that'll take you directly there. And there also is a contact button, it looks like, where you guys can directly be contacted. So thank you for providing those, and thank you to everybody who's listening to these Hangouts. Just want to remind everybody that we get through these Hangouts and have been able to do these things for you guys because you have supported us via upvotes and by sharing the content and sharing the content of the people who join up and openly and transparently do things that they otherwise don't have to really do, or could have just, taken it one step and just written papers on things and just left it. But they join every week to be able to answer questions from anybody who's interested in asking questions from the perspective of somebody who might be a quote unquote outsider, or somebody who's holding tokens. Anybody can join up and ask these people questions. So I want to thank everybody who makes this possible. I want to thank the guest speakers who join up, because quite literally, people don't have to travel to a conference to speak with you. They can do it here. And we have these for that reason. So you guys making this possible and sharing this content always is probably the best way to really help us. And that's because it's helping the people who are bringing value to the space to get recognized and get their projects recognized. So if you guys don't have a lot of money, but you still want to help, share our content, share the people here. Maybe even download an editor, cut out your favorite projects content and post it to your own channel. These are all fine things to do. I want to keep it open like that. We've kept it open like that since the beginning. So leverage this stuff, and you guys are the ones who make this possible. And remember, feed the wolves that go out and require you to pay to get journalistic coverage, or feed the ones that the good wolves that are trying to do things a little bit different and trying to rethink how we do these things. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to step back and I'm going to say, Talkinator, feel free if you'd like to step up and discuss your topic for the week. And I'll go ahead and step back.
Thank you. And hello, everyone. I'm going to paste in here a URL for the topic. The topic I wanted to raise today was a worker proposal that was brought up by the SCORM team for a user experience, user interface design work. They on this particular link that's available here at bitshares.scorum.com, you can find a description of the worker proposal and all of the elements that goes along with it. Some of the topics that they bring up are details about the proposal. What does a successful modern design involve? And how much money do companies spend on such a design? And what should be done now? And the experience of the team. The proposal, oh, by any chance, can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Yes.
Okay, great. And they break down further into the duration is for 5 months of work beginning in July. The budget, as already has been described by others, is for $340,000. And the team would consist of 7 specialists, all with different specialties. I think, so that is the rough description about it. And then I have my own opinion about it, but I'll bring that up later in case, so that other people can begin chiming in.
Well, I have my opinions, but I'll hold off similarly. But I would prefer to hear your opinions, obviously, before I give mine. But anybody else have any questions or comments that they'd like to bring up regarding? I know we already covered it a little bit with RuDEX, and he made some good points, which I'd actually kind of like probably piggyback on myself. But before I do that, anyone? No one has questions? Okay, well then on to my questions and my comments. I think that it's great that we have proposals. I think that we should see both of those here in the coming weeks. But I do think that we can always be interested in making the UX better and the UI better for BitShares. Obviously, I would be hoping that anything that we pay for, like from that in that respect, will be open sourced since it would be community funded. But I suspect that that would not be an issue, and I am going to assume that that is the case.
Yeah,
but
me too.
See, yeah, and we'll assume that, but we'll let you know if we find out otherwise. But with that said, I guess one of my questions really is, is there a potential issue with them doing that and then, building this in, but they're working on other projects too? So is this something where, if Scorum is working on this project, they can work on a bunch of other projects too? And because I know that they're working on their own chains and stuff. Do they have plans for leveraging their chain to work with BitShares? I think these are things that I want to take into account too, that I don't think we really discuss. And it might not be politically correct, but it is something that I keep in my mind also, is like, whenever there are projects like that coming out and they're wanting to build something for the BitShares DEX, how are they planning on using it, to help us? Are they planning on using it to help us in any way, shape, or form? Or are they planning to do it in some way to, with an intent of not helping, but just kind of somehow grabbing the code and then using it for other things that will directly compete? Obviously, we want people to be able to compete, but I'm also kind of in the place where we also have to be careful about potential conflicts of interest and how worker proposals can work into that. So I'd like your thoughts on it. Do you guys have any thoughts on this topic that's kind of connected to?
Well, I'll discuss two of the points that you brought up. In terms of just design work, I think that multiple designs are appropriate for BitShares because there are different users and they have different needs. Not everybody needs to trade. Not everybody needs a simple transfer. So I think that there's certainly a need for different user interfaces. And furthermore, as Tom has raised on prior occasions, good design work merits attention and to understand what the user is looking to do, and so that there is a cost with doing good design work. As to the expense, other people have discussed that already, and I think it's worth discussing. It's a good price or not a good price, and that depends on their experience and their past experience. Then on to your second point, Fuzzy, when you brought up about possible conflict of interest, I assume that they are going to handle it honestly, and such that the work that they're being paid for is specifically done for this. And I suppose maybe to your point is like, how can we be certain that what is being paid for is being done for this and not being spent on other aspects? I mean, that just depends on the integrity of the worker, so that's one issue. And as to competition, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah, and I think that maybe I should clarify. It's like, let's make sure that all the work being done is being done for BitShares. Whether it can be used for other projects and stuff is great. But if there's, what I mean? Like, we should make sure that every bit of the work that's being done is directly for BitShares, and then somebody else can use it if they want. But it's not like, oh, we got this worker, like you said. We got this worker, and we're actually using a lot of it on this project. But by the way, you know what I mean? So
I mean, I think all indications are that it would be design work that's specifically for BitShares, and that the indications are that it would be, of course, the design results would be open for any other subsequent teams to use.
Yeah, and like you said, having multiple different versions, not only, but if we could even get like potential for like mock-ups, how they think that they would like to see it. That gives us a couple extra benefits, right? One, if you're a designer and you're up against other designers and you see their designs, you can incorporate the things that you like about their designs in yours and make it so there's more kind of like an even playing field in terms of the ideas. But in addition to that, obviously, whenever there's competition, there's a tendency for lower prices for the person who is doing the hiring. So, or for the entity doing the hiring, rather, what I should probably say. So the entity, in this case being BitShares, I think does benefit substantially from not only from the price benefits, but like you said, having multiple UIs to kind of choose from.
Yeah. And then I think, and then another question which is still uncertain for me is the question about who should pay for such general design work, whether it should come from the general reserve pool or whether this should be done by individual private efforts. And I think it depends. But I certainly see that there is a value if it is funded from the general pool, and then the designs are available for any subsequent teams to implement, that there is also a value in that.
Yeah, there's I think a benefit and a potential downside to it. I won't get too deep into it, but we could probably talk about that during the after party. Does anybody have any questions or comments that they'd like to bring up in the final 4 minutes that we do have before I get into anything? Okay, here's what I'll say. Well, let me go ahead. Ken Codes here says, I think that depends on whether the design builder is going to make money from it or not. Yeah, that's a good question. And I also think that, my take on it personally is one of the benefits, it's a big benefit to have it where it's an open source front end, right? But here is one of the potential negatives to the open source front end. That might mean that, and this is something I don't have the answer to, but just something that I think we should consider, is that might also mean that people who are not extremely experienced in this stuff will have the ability to easily spin something up or more easily spin something up that maybe they have no real expertise on, which might cause some potential issues too, right? It might also be seen as lowering barrier to entry and good in many ways as well. So I'm not trying to poo on it, but I will say that there's positives and negatives to this, right? Because if there's a beautiful interface that's available and everybody can use it, then, without having to change anything, then if Bob can start up an exchange, he might not be qualified and it might be very dangerous, but on the front end, nobody knows, right? Yeah, good point, Ken Code. A UI is useless without underlying core code, which I guess the core code is something that we have the experts to kind of say, we know that it's secure, or we know that all that stuff is a little bit more tested and tried and true. So I guess the front end is really probably one of the harder things for us on this, because anybody can change little things about the UI too, right? Feel free to speak up, anybody. We've got about 1 minute left. Okay, so I guess we'll finish this up. Taco, is there anything that you'd like to say to finish up your topic and close this session out?
No, that covers it. So I encourage everyone to go check out the proposal that's out there. There's discussions that are linked from there, and also another graphical page that describes some more details about the proposal.
Yeah, I think it's something that we've heard a lot about, and thank you, Taco. We've heard a lot of talk about how the BitShares user interface isn't exactly user-friendly. I always will kind of default to the response of, is there a single user interface for cryptocurrencies that are really, truly user-friendly? I would say maybe a couple of them, but even them, they tend to not be the best in terms of offering all the security in the world for you either. But with that said, I will also say that BitShares offers quite a bit, right, of functionality. So there's what we call a huge learning curve to using it if you have not used anything but basic, simple wallets and crypto before. BitShares is definitely not something that you just take a big bite of. You have to nibble at it and learn little pieces as you go. But with that said, as you increase your expertise in the platform, you also learn all the different functionalities and how powerful they are potentially for whatever you might want to build. So it's something to keep in mind as we move forward, that there is a lot of functionality that that a lot of people are not even aware of, and that user experience and user design of the user interface properly can, for specific demographics, could even pick up specific people and use cases. So open sourcing the UI, I think, is potentially very good. Having a new open sourced UI that builds and improves upon the earlier one. But I'll also say that even today, we have a dang good amount of things for people to do. I think the only thing we've got to do is make it a little bit cleaner and easier to do all of it. So that's what I'll be looking for in the user interfaces personally, is how we make it easier for people. But with that said, Bitshares is the longest chain in the world for a reason. And don't fall for the FUD for everybody who's new, who's listening, because though we're talking about, new interfaces and all these things, that's not saying that the things that exist right now are terrible. It just means that we're always wanting it to be better. So keep that in mind as you move forward. And I look forward to seeing more activity with us helping with the EOS network. The inter-blockchain communication that we're talking about is huge. The inter-ledger protocol that Fox is bringing to the table, I think that's a great potential idea as well. So things are looking good, everybody. Even though the crypto market in general seems confused, I personally think that that's because they have no clue what's going to come next. And that's because they're still focusing on basic scalability. And even things like the Lightning Network aren't really that much better than what they have today in terms of centralizing and potentially causing problems too, right? So we're in a place where I think delegated proof of stake plus inter-chain communication is going to really open people's eyes to what is possible with cryptocurrencies as we move forward. So I look forward to all these things as we move forward, and I'm glad that we're looking at this not quite from a tribal perspective, but let's help crypto perspective, because that's where Bitshares' superpower is. Now, with that said, thank you guys, everybody, and we will see you, as always, next Saturday, same time, same place, for Hangout number 78. End this Hangout for the week, and we will remain afterwards for the after party.